Welcome back to Pop Tabs, keeping tabs on all your pop culture topics. I'm your host, Matthew Yapp, and joining me today is...
TT Shinkan.
And...
McKenna Kolb.
McKenna, it's your first Pop Tabs.
It is.
Are you so excited?
I am.
You're gonna be really let down because...
Okay.
Guess what we're talking about, gang? It's sports.
Woo!
Super sports time. That's right, we do it here. So, the Super Bowl happened.
Sure
Yeah.
did.
That's when they throw the ball, and it's like the big
Touchdown.
one, yeah.
They
And the
tackled.
Patriots win. Always.
We always win.
The Patriots beat the Rams this year, and a lot of people were mad, and I mean like a lot of people.
Yeah.
The Patriots at this point have won quite a few Super Bowls. This was their sixth, I believe.
Yep.
And since they win year after year, some people are kind of over it. Why do you think this is?
Well, this just looks, because I'm going to look at it from a baseball perspective, because that's
Okay.
my sport and I love baseball. The Yankees is like the most hated team in baseball because they keep winning and they're not necessarily good. They just like, they buy their team. Okay, I'm sorry, I'm a White Sox fan, so I'm really, really sorry about this. I'm a little biased. They buy their team, they have really great players, and it's just like they keep winning, like you just hear about the Yankees all the time. They keep winning everything. It's just like, you know, wouldn't it be great if like another team won, another team like did well? It's just like looking at this, like the Patriots, like cool, like they won again. What's next?
Too much of a good thing?
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
I'm gonna go on a slight tangent here because I don't like the Patriots. I'm sorry. I just don't. And now they're tied with the Steelers, and Tom Brady, he originally came off as an underdog, and now that story's just getting old because it's 6 Super Bowls. And now they're tied with the Steelers and having the most winning the most Super Bowls over all time. And it just bothers me because I didn't even watch it this year. I was watching a film. And
A film, so bougie. See,
she knows what film,
well,
but
we don't.
yeah.
But
Yeah.
what I was going to say is, I like the Patriots. I don't like football. Let's get that
Yeah.
straight, gang. But I like the Patriots in kind of a like cultural phenomena sense.
Okay.
You know, in wrestling, how they have heels. You know, because they have the good guy and they have the heel character.
Yes.
Who they're
Okay,
just
yeah.
there to upset the crowd and get,
Yeah.
you know, people kind of united on like, we all hate this person together. And I think the Patriots do that very well. Apparently they like cheated or something. I don't know.
Yes.
Football, it's kind of, I think it's kind of fake anyways,
Yeah.
much like wrestling.
wasn't it Flakegate or something?
Yeah, they deflated
Yeah.
balls in order to make them easier to throw. And so I think, I don't know, the Patriots do a very important role, which is it causes people to kind of unite and hate something
That's
together,
true,
which
yeah.
I enjoy.
Yeah. Okay.
Because
I can
like
understand that.
if everyone like can come together like because they hate something, like that's like we have a common like thing because it's like we all hate this thing, so like I like you.
Remember when Justice League came out and we all hated it? How united we all felt. It didn't matter if you were a DC or Marvel fan. We all knew that movie was bad.
Oh, God.
It was very
So
uniting.
true.
It was.
So something that's happened though is year after year, the Super Bowl has gotten less and less ratings, and this year they actually hit a 10-year low.
Wow.
So it's the same game every year. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just another football game. Why do you think less and less people are watching?
I just feel like it's just because they're like the Patriots were in, they're like, oh, we all know how this is gonna end up. Like who really cares about watching the game now because we all know the Patriots are gonna win. And it's just like, also a lot of the commercials aren't really as good as they used to be too. And I feel like a lot of people watch the Super Bowl for the commercials.
Sure.
I know I did, and it's just like, now it's just like, I really don't, like I have better things to watch besides like the Super Bowl game, which is like used to be like the most like televised and most watched
Right,
sporting
everyone.
event in like history, and now it's like I really don't I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's just another thing.
It is. I personally feel like, I don't know, like you said, for a lot of people, even if you didn't like sports, you could get behind the like
Yes.
kind of big cultural event,
Oh,
like you
yeah.
said, the commercials. But at this point, I remember I used to watch with my family and be like, commercials,
Yeah.
I can enjoy this for like about 3 minutes.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
now I'm just like, any decent one's gonna end up on YouTube afterwards.
Exactly. Yeah.
Everything that a lot of people like about the Super Bowl, because there are plenty of football fans still,
Yeah.
but everything that a lot of people enjoy about the Super Bowl is just kind of somewhere else now. Even the halftime show, which used to draw a lot of people in, that ends up on YouTube like 2 days later.
Yeah.
So I don't think that it actually has that kind of live appeal that it used to
Yeah.
have. TV's declining anyways, and I think
Exactly.
football's
Yeah.
taking a major hit.
Yeah, no, I agree with TT. Like, I just don't like football anymore. And I prefer more of basketball or baseball myself. And when I was younger, and still now, I kind of focused more on the commercials. Like, they even had a couple of the commercials out like days before the Super Bowl. And so I'm like, okay, I kind of don't like, I was wanting to kind of watch this year's Super Bowl. But then, yeah, as TT said, like the Patriots, it was like, okay, like everyone's gonna, besides those who love the Patriots, are gonna go for the Rams.
Yeah.
But it's like, we all know what's gonna happen. And yeah, just times, I believe times are changing. I believe another thing was kind of Colin Kaepernick, when the football players started to kneel, like football teams and players started to kneel.
Yeah.
There was people threatening to stop watching the game. So I feel like some people stuck with it, but the primary one is just like no one cares as much anymore, and just Patriots, let someone else win, please.
I think you have a massive point, though, that Colin Kaepernick, I think at this point football's a bit of a political stance. Not for everyone, but for a lot of people, they feel like the way that Colin Kaepernick, who does have an open lawsuit against the NFL,
Yeah.
a lot of people don't like the way he was treated, which is why we saw Maroon 5 this year. They led the halftime show. They were nowhere near the top of the list for picks. They asked a lot of artists. They asked Cardi B, they asked Rihanna, they asked a lot of black artists, and all of them said, we aren't doing this, we're standing with Colin Kaepernick. So it's become divisive to where I don't think people really want to watch. Thoughts on that?
Like
The divisiveness of Colin Kaepernick and what's kind of done to the NFL ratings.
I mean, like, I really don't, because like, you've heard my opinion over like his like whole Nike thing. Like, I'm like trying to stay away from it because I know I have an opinion. I really don't want to like.
I love you, Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah. But it's like, yeah, if he has like this lawsuit against them and like everything, it's just like, a lot of people were like, I don't know. You go ahead. I have no idea what to say.
It's valid.
I'm so sorry.
Happens.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna try not to offend anyone in my family if you're somehow watching, but I think a lot of...
I offended my family probably. Sorry guys, it's nothing new.
But yeah, I feel like some people like the Nike. I'm not gonna lie, I liked the Nike commercials with Colin Kaepernick. They were good. Oh God, I'm with TT. This is kind of hard to discuss.
Well, aren't those the hard-hitting issues we cover on Pop Tabs? I guess not. We'll move on to the halftime show.
Oh boy.
So, kind of a issue was, like I said, Maroon 5 was not the top of the list.
Yeah.
And we kind of saw why. They gave what was widely considered a very, very, very boring halftime show.
Oh yeah.
It really, a lot of people were kind of turned off by it. It was their songs that aren't the most popular things in the world anymore.
Yeah.
And it was a pretty lackluster performance overall. And something that upset a lot of people is, for whatever reason, because of the internet, people were banking on the fact that they were like, Sweet Victory from SpongeBob, their Super Bowl episode, that song was going to get played at the Super Bowl. They teased it, they made it seem like it was going to happen, and then they did like a teaser for it and then played Sicko Mode instead.
It was like 4 seconds.
Yeah, so a lot of people were upset by that. What are your thoughts on it?
I mean, I would be upset too. Like, if they tease something, like SpongeBob is like, it's become a huge part of our like culture, and especially like our generation, because like I grew up watching SpongeBob. A lot of people have grown up watching SpongeBob.
Yeah.
And Sweet Victory, like, let's be honest, it's a great song.
Oh, it was an
It
iconic
is.
moment.
And
I
it,
think
like,
everyone our age knows that moment.
And it like makes sense to play like at a halftime show during like a big, huge event like the Super Bowl. So like, I didn't actually see like the teaser or anything, but like, if you like tease something, especially since the creator of SpongeBob recently passed away,
Yes.
like
Which is why a
this-
lot of people thought it would happen.
exactly, like it would make sense to have like a nice little tribute to him, and just like seeing, I did see that part. It's like just seeing like that just Squidward, and then this like the opening, and then like
Sicko mode.
Like
It's an
okay. Like I don't think was a good enough tribute to the guy.
Yeah.
I did see that there was some like hockey team that did like end up playing.
They did. Yes.
They did.
And so it's like, okay, at least like some sporting event ended up playing Sweet Victory. But I mean, if you're going to tease something, you might as well, like, if people are saying it, like, you know what, just give it to them.
Yeah.
Like, you know.
Yeah, that was kind of my issue. Is
Yeah.
Everyone asked for it. They were like, we'll do it. And then I don't understand why you knew everyone wanted it.
Yeah.
And then you decided to be like, oh
like,
well.
let's play sicko
We'll play
mode.
sicko mode, which was popular in the summer and not for a few months now.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not? I thought it was an odd choice. Yeah. But you know what else is a really odd choice? Adam Levine's dancing, specifically the part where he like awkward dad danced his shirt off.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah, it was
Oh, dear.
uncomfortable. Adam Levine's not much of a dancer, and
No, he's
it
not.
was a lackluster performance as it was, so he decided to just bank on the one thing he has left, which is those abs, which, you know, fair enough, man, give it a shot, but it didn't
Yeah.
translate well.
Yeah.
And it also led to a lot of people saying not only was that a desperate attempt to get the fans excited, it was also a bit hypocritical, as a couple years back in 2005, Janet Jackson had her breast exposed by Justin Timberlake, and she was completely banned from the NFL for it. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think that's hypocritical? Do you think it's a difference between genders? Where are we feeling?
Well, I mean, I'm going to play devil's advocate here. That was in 2005. This is 2019.
Okay.
That's like more than like 10 years. Like things have changed since then. But I mean, if a woman isn't allowed, like is banned just for like showing like a little bit of that, like
Which was
is
not her fault.
No,
Justin
not at
Timberlake
all.
did it,
No.
and then got to come back to the Super Bowl. Anyways.
Yep.
Exactly. And like it's not her fault. Like she had no control over that. And then they banned her. And then then there's this like totally ripped dude who's like, no one's watching us. Might as well throw some sex appeal into there and like woo. And like I guess you can say it's a little hypocritical, but I mean if you look at like how like the world views like women nudity versus like male nudity, like it's more socially acceptable for males to be
It is.
like shirt off. And like I mean if I see guys walk down like the campus like with their shirt off in the
dudes
summer
exercise
and like
shirtless here all the time.
that's perfectly like I just like that's normal. But if like a female did that, like I'd be like everyone be like that's a little strange.
Yeah.
Even though it's like we all have like we're all the same. We all know.
We've all seen it.
Exactly. Yeah.
I just find it a little odd that he did that. I feel like it might be of his shirt choice. I did not like his shirt. I did see it, and I would throw it off too if I was wearing that. Sorry to whoever picked it. It was just not a great design. But yeah, I think there has been a time difference. I just find it really odd that he chose to like take his shirt off.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I didn't watch it, but I heard about that, and I'm like, that's a little odd. But like, it is more socially acceptable for someone like a male to take off his shirt or a male to be nude than a female.
Yeah.
And like you said, TT, like I've seen shirtless guys. And I'm like, oh, it's fine. But like, if I see almost a girl with that much, it might be like, oh, okay, like that's happening. But it's just because of like the decades where we've had people be like, it's socially unacceptable for women to bare their breasts, but men, it's absolutely fine, even though it's all muscle and fat. Like,
I think it's super sexist, real talk. Frankly, I think that what happened to Janet Jackson was an accident that they banned.
Yeah.
She wasn't trying to be sexual. Adam Levine was undoubtedly, he was trying to be sexual. And we see that as okay and fine, where Janet Jackson had an accident and we ban her for life. And so I think it's gross and sexist, personally.
I just find it odd. Someone pointed this out, that how Janet Jackson got banned from the NFL because of that. But Justin Timberlake was allowed to come back, and like his career kind of skyrocketed from that. But then Janet Jackson's totally went downhill, and I was just like, like
It's
my mind
almost
was
like
blown.
we treat women terribly in America. What? You know who else treats people terribly? Liam Neeson.
Oh.
Maybe. It's debatable.
Yeah.
So Liam Neeson recently did an interview as press coverage for his new movie, Cold Pursuit. And during the interview, he brought up the fact that the movie's about revenge, and there was a time in his life where he wanted revenge. And the way he brought that up is he brought up how a close friend of his was raped, which is obviously a very pressing issue. But he said his response to that was to ask what color the person was, and when he found out that they were black, he then, quote, went up and down areas with caution, hoping he'd be approached by somebody. And he's ashamed to say it, but he did it for maybe a week, hoping some, and I'm quoting him, black would come out of a pub and he'd be able to fight that person and possibly kill them. That was his goal.
Oh, okay.
So, what's our initial thoughts on him saying all of that?
Well, I mean, the asking what color part isn't really that bad, because, like, I mean, if someone, like, rapes another person, like, I mean, that's, like, part of their description. Like, obviously, like, it doesn't matter what color they are.
Yeah.
Like, I still want to know, like, what they look like, just so, like, in case, like, it's like telling the police, like, a police report. Like, you have to tell them every single thing, like, so the police can go out and, like, figure out who that person is and arrest them. However, what he did, like, going to, like, black neighborhoods and, like, just kind of scoping out the place and wanting
Trying to start a fight.
Trying to start a fight, that's not okay.
Nope.
Like, I understand, like, that's a very rough thing for, like, you to go through, like, for one of your friends to go through and, like, everything, but, like, and, like, I understand, like, you wanting to get revenge and everything, but, like, there's, like, doing, like, what normal people do and, like, you know, like, telling the police, like, maybe being a little, like, angry or upset about it, and, like, having, like, a little bit of that, but also there's extreme versions where, like, you actually try to be, like, that hero and, like, go out and, like a Batman sort of thing, and, like, go out, Punisher,
There we go.
and, like, going out and, like, wanting to kill someone, like, that's, I mean, that's a little extreme.
It's too much.
That is.
Yeah.
No, that is. As someone who's been sexually harassed multiple times, luckily by not the same person, and who's had friends been harassed. There's actually one incident where I didn't go out for revenge like that, because holy cannoli, that's a lot. That's just too much, man. And it isn't right. But I'm glad he said he was ashamed of it. Because, like, for me, I would go to someone, like, if it was someone I knew and I cared about, I wouldn't try to go find the person or, like, the person of the color. I would go to, like, kind of a superior person, like a boss or a manager, like, if I knew they were going to help, and be like, hey, this is, like, going on, can you, like, take care of it somehow? It just kind of blows my mind that he said something like that.
Yeah.
But again, I'm kind of glad he said he was ashamed of it, because that's something I think, like, you can't, it's hard to forgive yourself for that, and it's hard to forget doing something like that.
I understand why he said it. I genuinely wish he wouldn't have. I think there's a time and place for things, and I think if he was trying to forgive himself, that's kind of a private matter. I'm not saying people should ever be ashamed of the fact that they are victims of sexual assaults or sex crimes, because that's not anyone's responsibility. What Liam Neeson did was racist and next to a hate crime, because he was trying to commit a hate crime. He didn't go looking for the person who raped his friend. He very publicly said that he was just going to black neighborhoods trying to fight a black person to get vindication for himself. He generalized an entire group of people, and that's what he said. He generalized an entire race of people and wanted them to pay for the act of one person, and that's wrong. And so I think for him to come out and publicly say this is almost a way to be like, well, you know, we all have these urges, and so it's what it is, I think was wrong.
And then it angers me because of he generalized such a group, because like, he could have harmed, if he actually took the action, he could have harmed or killed someone that was completely innocent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm just frustrated by it, because, like, one of the articles I read, it was like, for, like, that thought is, you're not going for the specific person, you're just going for a person.
Yes.
that life is like meaningless to you. And there's still thoughts like that where it's just like, I'm gonna go beat up someone of this color because something happened to someone. And sorry, I'm just frustrated.
No, you're good.
fine.
This is the reason why law enforcement exists.
Yes.
Like he's basically doing what like, I'm not saying like the police do this, but he's doing what the police do.
Yeah.
And like the police are supposed to like go out
He's
and
trying
like
to perform
scope
some
out,
weird version of vigilante justice.
yeah, scope out like trying to find the person. Instead, he's just trying to find any person and just start something.
Yeah. No. What he later has said in an interview is that he's not racist, and that's not what he was trying to say. He was just trying to open up a discussion about how we all have racist moments and we all have these kind of urges. He would thought they may be talking about his past biased moments. He would allow other people to reflect on their biased moments. What are your thoughts on that?
I mean, he kind of has a point. Like at that time, he was probably so much filled with rage that like he was just willing to like say and do anything. And I know like when I'm filled with rage, I say like some things and like that I later regret.
Yeah.
Like the way, obviously like the way he acted upon it wasn't like necessarily the best thing, but like his friend like was raped. Doesn't it say like she later died?
Yeah, she's passed away.
Yeah, she later died. Like I can understand, and like he did like even say like, you know what, like I've learned from it, like, and that's like the way that like everyone should like, because like we do say and like do some things that like we're not necessarily proud of, but like we also grow from it. Because like I've said things like when I was like 13 years old that I'm like not necessarily like proud of, but like I've since like learned from my actions and I've since grown since then. And it's like, yeah, like this isn't necessarily like the best example of like changing yourself, but it's like it still shows that like no matter like, I mean it's still like kind of it is pretty racist what he did, but like it's still like he did like recognize what happened. He did recognize like what he said, what he did, and he like, you know what, this wasn't necessarily the best way for me to handle things, but it's still not good. But I've learned, and I've like I'm trying to learn from like what I did.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. Like when I'm filled with rage, I'm not thinking, wow, I almost mixed those words up.
Yeah.
Thinking clearly.
Anger makes you...
It does.
Yeah.
It's quick reactions without thinking. And there's moments in my life that, like there's still one that kind of haunts me. And it was really, I was more angry at myself, but I yelled at someone else, and that still haunts me to this day. It seriously does. Like, I forget what, I think I just yelled to like move or something, and the dude just like got upset with me at that point, and then I realized later on I shouldn't have been angry with him. And so there are moments where I feel like we just don't think clearly, and we are going to act out on our rage, but I also think people are going to grow, even though it might not be the best situation. You are going to learn from it, and you are going to grow. It's just there's always going to be like someone is going to know what happened and remember it, and so
the thing I think that's the issue here is he decided himself to bring a moment into the limelight that people, you don't have to forgive somebody when they've wronged you. And so when when a man has come out and said, well, I just wanted to kill a black person because I was upset with a single black person, so I would generalize an entire race. I don't think people have to forgive Liam Neeson for that, and he can bring it out and say, well, I was just trying to bring attention to how we all act. I think he put himself in a position to where he was revealing something very disgusting about himself, and I don't think it's fair to just be like, well, you know, but he was just trying to have a bigger conversation. I think he did something wrong, and I think a lot of people were very hurt by it, and it's justified. So I get wanting to, you know, admit the faults of your past and recognize them, but I think you have to also hold yourself accountable for the past.
Because like you can still you can still apologize for like everything, but like there can still be people that are like, I know you apologize, but I'm still not okay with it, because I know people have apologized to me for stuff that they've done, and like, cool, you apologize, that's okay, but like I'm still like a little angry that you did this, and I'm sure it's the other way around. Like I've apologized to people, and people are probably still like a little angry at me for what I did. Like that's understandable, and like especially like how his like situation, like that's understandable for people to be like still be angry at him after he like apologized and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think some people, like when you're not, I feel like if you're not genuine in your apology,
Yes.
then it takes a turn because they can just be like, oh, I'm sorry. And it's like, but do you actually mean it? Like, do you actually acknowledge what you did wrong? And that frustrates me because I face people where they've apologized, but I still was angry. And I'm like, I don't think you've actually acknowledged what you've done wrong. And so, like, I don't quite forgive you for what you did.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know who's probably going to apologize for something in a few years
Oh no.
and not be really forgiven? Zac Efron, because he has chosen to take on the role of Ted Bundy of all people.
Oh no.
Because you know who really needed a movie? Ted Bundy, I guess.
Yeah.
It's a choice. So Zac Efron will be playing Ted Bundy in Extremely Wicked, Shockingly Evil, and Vile. And after a trailer dropped, there was quite a bit of backlash about this movie because a lot of people are saying, just judging from the trailer, it looks like this movie is glorifying Ted Bundy.
Oh yeah.
So, what's your initial thoughts on that game?
I mean, like after watching the trailer, like when you think of a serial killer movie, you think of it like gonna be like a little eerie. Like the trailer's gonna be kind of eerie, painting like this guy in like a light that he, like a horrible light that he was, and like eerie music. Then you have this trailer where it's like kind of like he's a rock star. Like
there's literally rock music.
not
it was
rock
rock
music.
star.
It's like he's running from like, it's like literally like he's running, and it's like he's running from like a crowd of girls that you would see like the Beatles or like any like rock star.
He's smiling, winking, like taking his shirt off real slow.
Yeah, like he's charming. And it's like, yes, I understand that like one of his like big reasons why he got so popular was because he was very charming and he was like good looking. But that doesn't take away from the fact that he murdered a bunch of people. And like that's still like not okay. Like think of another serial killer. Like
John Wayne Gacy.
John Wayne Gacy.
Charles Manson.
Replace John Wayne Gacy with that trailer. Doesn't exactly. So like, why?
What are your thoughts, McKenna?
So I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of interested in the film. I get why people are upset. Like one of my friends was upset because of it, and I was trying to see, because the movie is supposed to take perspective in his longtime girlfriend, the perspective of his longtime girlfriend, Elizabeth Cooper?
Probably.
I know her alias was also Elizabeth Kendall. So I was trying to see if they were trying to do the trailer in that way, because she found him innocent, but it was because she was like with him for 6 years or something more than that. But it's like, no, he murdered at least 30 girls. Like that's what, like, at least. I know that number's probably bigger than what it seemed.
Oh,
like, I feel like every serial killer, if they say, I've murdered, like if the police give them a certain number, they'll probably like, I've murdered that many. But it's like at least.
Yeah.
But this trailer, it portrayed him definitely in a lighter light than it should have been. They tried to. It seemed like they were trying to sexualize or romanticize Ted Bundy, and I just find that creepy. Like
It's very creepy.
It's worth noting that the movie is not a documentary, it's a biopic. And the difference between those things is that documentaries are strictly like real life, these are the real events, where biopics are still more or less, while they're themed around the person, they are meant to entertain. So I understand the idea of wanting to make an appealing and entertaining movie. The issue is you shouldn't have chosen this subject matter, because this is a man who murdered, raped, and kidnapped at least 30 women.
At least.
And so for you can show, like you said, a big part of his entire MO is that he was a very charming man. He was unsuspecting. That's why it was so hard to catch him. But you can show that he was charming to the people around him without making him charming to the audience.
Yeah.
And I personally really kind of frowning upon Zac Efron for taking the role, because I don't think you should really want to portray a serial killer in this fun, sexy life. Because unfortunately, we now live in a time where a lot of, especially young people, they weren't around during this time when Ted Bundy was terrorizing the country. And so they don't quite understand it, but they do understand that they really like Zac Efron, which is why we have seen an increase in people on social media being like, just straight up tweets where like, Ted Bundy's hot, he could kill me.
I swear more show, I don't know if it's just like movies or television or what, like with this generation, it seems like serial killers and like stalkers are being more romanticized. Like the Netflix show You, like girls were tweeting at the guy who stars in it like, oh, kidnap me, and he would be like, no, and then he like came out with a tweet and he was like, please try not to like fall in love with my character, like that's not the point of the show, like don't do it. And I swear I want to get like a little spray bottle when the movie comes out, and I swear if I hear like Ted Bundy's so hot, I'm just gonna squirt it like a misbehaving cat and be like, no.
That's bad.
I'm gonna be like, he murdered 30 girls, no.
But if they say Zac Efron's hot, that's fine.
Yeah.
But Ted Bundy,
I've watched too many murder mystery shows, man. I've watched too many. Ugh.
TT, what are your thoughts on casting a conventionally attractive megastar as one of the most heinous killers of our time?
I mean, I'm gonna look at it from like, cause he actually, this is gonna sound horrible, he kind of looks like him a little bit.
Okay.
So like, maybe that's why they probably, I mean, I'm sure like his appeal towards.
I'm sure.
But like, I mean, if you look at it, like during one of my classes, I know one girl, she like morphed Ted Bundy's face with Zac Efron's, and it was disturbing how
it really
much
is
they
uncanny,
looked.
yes.
So like maybe that's why they cast him, because he looks similar.
I could see it.
Just like how they cast Chris Evans as Captain America, because he kind of looks like Captain America in the comic books.
Yeah.
So, but still, like, our generation, we grew up with High School Musical, and like, we always viewed Zac Efron as like a very
likable guy,
likable, good-looking guy, and they're like, okay, a lot of those kids are of age now, so like, see these types of movies. Let's cast someone who they're familiar with and that they can also, like, you know.
I thought you were about to say
so I honestly, in my opinion, I think they took him because he looks like a little like Ted Bundy.
Very valid.
Yeah.
So this also does kind of bring up the question of, it's not a documentary, it's a biopic.
Yeah.
How accurate do you think it should be in that case? Should we stick just to the facts, or do you think even with the subject matter and the fact that it's based in reality, should it still try to be entertaining?
I mean, it both ways. Like, they should still try to entertain audiences, but they should also try to like inform audiences that like, hey, this guy wasn't really great, and by really, not at all. Like, I mean, I find like these types of things very interesting, and I like to learn about it because it's like, it's history, and it's like, it's kind of cool to learn about. But I'm like, I'm not gonna like make like a shrine to the guy because I like, ooh, he's so dreamy and adorable. It's like, I mean, it should try to stick to like some of the historical facts and everything, but like also like people, it's like a movie, and it's obviously like, there's no narration. I'm sure there's going to be a little narration from some people.
Perhaps, yeah.
But like, they should try to still entertain people as well. So like, they should try to find like a common ground.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that, because, oh gosh, I can't think of the one show. They took out, oh gosh, I think it was To Make a Murderer, How to Make a Murderer. And I know that's a docuseries and not a biopic. But I remember like it turned out like there was information missing.
Yeah.
Like I think when he was in jail, and it was weird because like after watching like certain episodes, I was like, oh yeah, and then I would like speak with my dad, and he's like, well, you know, like, and he would tell me like all this information. I'm like, no, they didn't put that in the show, and so it's like I kind of want to know more historical facts, but I also want to be entertained. So I do think there needs to be a common ground between the two.
I gotcha.
It's okay. It's kind of like the German movie Tenderness of the Wolves,
Okay. Oh
my
a little
goodness.
bit. That's kind of, that's pretty much a biopic.
That is, yeah, no, it is.
They're depicting a serial killer, Fritz Hermann, if you guys aren't aware, who in like the 1920s would like take little boys and like kill them.
Yeah.
And like that's the movie Tenderness of the Wolves is a biopic, and it's like showcasing like this guy, but it's like they're actually like showcasing like how bad of a person he was, like not at all charming at
It was
all. Oh,
terrifying.
it was very terrifying.
That was terrifying, man.
And they still like were able to make it very entertaining. Like I wanted to keep, it was very disturbing, but I wanted to keep watching because
Yeah.
I was intrigued to see what would happen to the guy. But it was also, they like showed what he did, like his crimes and like how he ended up. And even at the end, like they had like, he was executed
Right.
and everything. So like, I feel like that's a good way of like making a biopic and having like a
Balance.
comment, balance.
Yeah, I don't think these types of things should get movies. I think
Yeah.
these people are terrible people and they don't deserve the glorification of a movie kind of immortalizing them. But if you have to make it, I would rather it be a documentary. I
Yes.
don't think
Yes.
biopics belong. I don't think these
I
things
love
should be
documentaries.
entertaining.
Plus documentaries can be entertaining.
Yes, they can.
But that being said, what are your closing thoughts on this or anything else we talked about today, gang?
Patriots, yeah. Let
sti-
someone
I
else
still
in the
don't
Super
like
Bowl,
them.
please.
Please. Please. I wanted the Saints so badly to go to the Super Bowl.
Man, and the Dodgers deserve to be there too.
They really do.
I think Ted Bundy, bad, no
Yeah.
movie. I think Liam Neeson, bad, no premiere movie. And I think Super Bowl, sport.
Go sports.
But thank you guys for watching. I've been your host, Matthew Yapp. Joining me today was...
TT Shinkan.
And...
McKenna Kolb.
Thanks, guys. Are you rolling?
Are you ready?
Oh, I'm always
I have
ready.
a nice
So
one.
like,
Ever beat. Wait, okay.
you know what they say, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. Matt Yapp, 2019.